Thank you, Ajit, for setting this up. Thank you, Sangeeta. Welcome all, and wish you a very happy Republic Day. Overseas Volunteer for Better India is launching its UK chapter at this event, and any funds that we generate out of this will go to support Volunteer for Better India campaign in India. Volunteer for Better India, it's an apolitical campaign which was launched in February 2013. This was in Delhi last year, and about 100,000 people turned up for the event. This was inspired by His Holiness Sri Ravi Shankar, who is the founder of Art of Living, and most of us know that he's well known for his stress management, building a stress management, stress-free, violence-free programs that's spreading across the globe. So VBI, or Volunteer for Better India's main mission, is just two core things. One is to increase the voter awareness, and the second is to promote better governance in the society, in India, in the local community. So it's also about sustenance and how we go forward once the awareness, registration, and participation of the voters happen in full acceleration. Inspired by the VBI movement, Overseas Volunteer for Better India, this was started by a group of NRIs based in the US, and it's headed by Suresh Basu, who's the president. He wanted to do something, these bunch of group of NRI volunteers, they wanted to do something for the roots, and they decided to support every initiatives that VBI takes moving forward. And the support is through technology, funding, resources, and networking, which is pretty key to raising the awareness. Despite estimated population in India of about 1.27 billion, India is one of the fastest growing economy. Literacy rate is rising. And as per the recent Economic Times report, January 2014, it's surpassed in the emerging market sector. India has surpassed, it's doing extremely phenomenally well in the stock market. And the top fortune companies, the middle section actually talks about the top, can you go back? So the middle section, which is not quite visible, but I'll walk you through, it's the private sector. The private sector is a lot of top fortune companies has its presence, research and department in India, and the service sector is also booming. And the third part, which is the private sector, public sector, which is dynamic democracy. And a prerequisite for any democracy is democratization of communication through free press and mass media. And India is doing phenomenally well. So everything seems to project a great potential in India. It's the fastest growing economy and continually has demonstrated a huge potential. Despite the huge potential, India is lagging behind China and Japan. So let's see what's holding India back. So as we can see, there are issues with the challenges in Indian democracy is down to corruption, and we came across a lot of scams recently, Commonwealth Games scams, 2G scams, and so on. And corruption rise is very evident and eating away the potential of this country. Inflation has increased to unimaginable levels. Women's safety has decreased. Can we move on to the next? So that's the corruption picture for you. And there is a rupee devaluation happening. So there are some challenges, and the biggest challenge, can we go to the next one? And next. So the biggest challenge we're facing is down to the fact that out of 750 million who can potentially vote, 20 million are young voters between 18 and 24. They were not even registered to vote. So there was a lack of awareness. And there's very little political awareness with regards to the governing of the country. And because of this lack of awareness and not many people turning to vote, continually India has been governed by coalition government, and there's not been a single major political party governing India. So that has its setbacks. And the root cause of the problem is lack of awareness that people don't vote. So the VPI movement, the main purpose of VPI movement is to raise this awareness, voter awareness, and lay the foundation platform to promote a good governance and eradicate the apathy among Indian citizens for voting. This is the key core objective to begin with. And one of the most successful programs we had is a Votathon slide. Votathon program. Now, the Votathon program, this was phenomenally successful. It's an inter-college competition which was aimed at educating the youth community by increasing their awareness and through a lot of little games and competitions being set up, and the goal was to make them politically savvy youth, to create a political savvy youth base, so we have our future is better taken care of. So the next slide we talk about is pretty much Volunteer for Better India, continuing its different activities to create more and more political initiatives and increase the overall voting by at least 20%. And one of the things is, the way we plan to do is Overseas Volunteer for Better India are spread all over the globe, and we're going to actually helping Volunteer for Better India through different resources. And with elections looming in 2014, we haven't got much time. The immediate goals of OVBI, what they are, and have we actually started doing something already in UK? To cover this, I would now like to invite Ajit Tripathi, who is leading OVBI for UK. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Shobha. Thank you, our honored guests and friends and family. It's a privilege and an honor to welcome you to this wonderful concert. Now, OVBI is, if you look at the Jews around the world, for example, Israel is a really powerful country today, right? And even Lebanon, which is a really small country, and countries like Israel, which are really, really small, much smaller than, let's say, Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, are extremely powerful. And the only reason really is that their diaspora, the citizens of, or the former citizens and people who come from that part of the world actually do an awful lot for their homeland, right? They take part in policy initiatives, they take part in, when their country is at war, they support financially and through weapons and everything else. When they are at peace, they're building up companies in Israel, they're actually leading investment banks around the world. And if you look at India, there are two states in particular that receive a heavy contribution from their diaspora. Kerala, a lot of people from Kerala go to Dubai and the Middle East, and they contribute not only through remittances but also through building infrastructure, community infrastructure in the villages and the communities they come from. Now, if you look at Gujaratis, we have a lot of Gujaratis in my friends and family. Then Gujarat is the fastest growing state in India right now, and it's obviously due to the good governance and everything, but it's also because the people have taken responsibility for their homeland. There is deep roots and relationships, and people actually contribute back. So there is no reason why the rest of us as a community, or Indians across the world, should not get together, and it's good for us, right? So when India grows, then our investments grow. Our families are safer, the women back home are safer, our children have more opportunities, and our reputation and our image as a community where we live is vastly improved, right? Ultimately, as a non-resident Indian, when I go to work and I hear that a woman was mistreated in Delhi, and when my friends hear that a woman was mistreated in Delhi, or there is so much corruption in India, it hardly does anything good for me, right? I mean, when it comes to, oh, you're an Indian, and there is a bit of an association. Now, that association can be with something powerful and something good, like the IT industry and the economy, or that association can be with something that's probably not so good, right? So, which one are we going to choose? So, we cannot take a clean break from our families back home, from our roots. It's not going to happen, right? We have to take responsibility because it's in our self-interest, and also because we want to contribute. There is happiness in giving. Right? So, when Guruji started this last year, Sri Ravi Shankarji, he said, if all of us in India contribute 1 hour a day for the country, then the whole country can be transformed. All of the problems that, stop complaining, right? Stop complaining, get on and do something. So, just 1 hour a day, or just give your Sunday, that's what he said. So, and then Suresh ji and a few other volunteers globally said, now fine, if that's for the people in India, what about us? And Guruji said exactly the same thing applies. You also give your Sunday to India. Give your Sunday to your community, where you come from. And wherever you come from, right? And just to the country in any possible way, depends on the resources you bring. Now, the resources can be financial, the resources can be intellectual, and sometimes people. The biggest resources that I know of are people. So I